Hey everybody, welcome back to Blue Collar Whiskey Drinkers. I'm Robbie.
And I'm Cody.
On this episode, we are doing our best of 2022. So this is all the whiskeys we did in 2022, and actually, we will be throwing in a couple that was kind of our picks outside of the podcast. So
Yeah, pretty excited about this. We did it last year, or 2021,
yep,
or our picks for that. So pretty excited. Good to have you
yeah,
back, man.
yeah. Thank you. Hey, I do got to say, good job to Kelsey and you, man. That episode was awesome. I enjoyed it, and unfortunately, yeah, I couldn't finish out that whiskey with you, but you know, I thought you guys did a great job. You know, finishing that out, and plus, you both were there. You got to both go down there, so honestly, in a way, I think it was kind of fitting to finish that whiskey off with you two. So, hey, cheers to you
Yeah,
and
man.
Kelsey,
Thanks, man.
newlyweds.
I appreciate that, man. And hey, cheers to you and Odin and Michaela. Happy family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
man.
you. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
All right, everybody. So I'm going to kind of go over what we're going to be covering tonight. Um, so we got two picks outside the podcast, and then we do have basically we'll also do best of the year on podcast for each category. So we're going to do the best neat, best on the rocks, Coke, old fashioned.
Yeah.
We do have an overall whiskey as well. Then we have a go-to whiskey. Um, and the go-to is going to be our individual go-to, not the podcast or Blue Collar Whiskey Drinker. So whenever I do my two picks, I'm going to go ahead and go over my go-to whiskey, and then we got a surprise whiskey, best bottle, and best cheap bottle. So or budget bottle.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to lead us off tonight?
Sure, man. Where do we want to start here? Need
Uh,
or
just uh, just start with your two overalls and go-to whiskey, and I'll go ahead and do mine.
all right. So my two overall outside the podcast was Um, I did so many whiskeys throughout the year that I didn't have like a really go-to whiskey. I kind of
Hmm.
just, tried so many whiskeys that, um, but I would say I kept going back to Benchmark Foolproof. Um, it's just really, really good, neat, and a nice proof, high proof, and I just really enjoyed that one. Did a blind with some of my friends, and
Yeah,
that one, it ended up coming out on top. So it was kind of fun, and I enjoyed that one. So that'd probably be one of my picks. And then I'm gonna say uh, Blade and Bow
oh
um,
yeah,
would be my second one. Robbie got that for my toast at the wedding, and
yeah,
before the wedding we toasted to that, and really great whiskey. If you haven't had Blade and Bow, I would suggest
yeah.
going to
Well,
get it. You know,
we definitely got to do that one. I do like how they do the keys and everything. There's a different number. I think there's five different keys. Um, and then once you collect all five, you take a picture of them and you can be part of their club, which is pretty cool. Um,
I didn't know all that. That's cool.
yeah, so Blade and Bow is something we got to get on. I thought it was a phenomenal whiskey whenever I got it. And this is kind of what I do. Whenever I go to a wedding of a friend of mine's, I try to get a whiskey, and that's their whiskey for the day kind of thing. Like, hey, here's your whiskey. We'll toast to it, you and I, and then you and your groomsmen, or if I'm part of the wedding, like I was with Cody, I was able to, him and I tried it, and then we did a huge big toast with all us groomsmen, and it was really cool, really special. And honestly, Blade and Bow was just kind of fitting with the key and everything. I thought it
Yeah, the key, you know.
was kind of perfect. So Cody getting locked up.
Yeah, dude, for sure. It was perfect. And Blade and Bow, kind of like
Yeah,
I don't know, knights type deal.
yeah,
I'm into the
definitely.
Viking knights type thing. So Pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So my two picks for outside the podcast was Sazerac Rye and Dalmore, the 12 year. Um, both those, Dalmore is a Scotch that is probably my favorite Scotch right now. I got a bottle of it for when Odin was born, and that's kind of going to be his my bottle and his bottle. But obviously, he's not going to be drinking it. But it's like, I had a little toast right when he was born. I had a drink with my dad, things like that out of it. And it's just like a special bottle. I'm going to only take a little bit out of it on special occasions for him. And I'm really going to try to save a little bit and a lot of it for whenever he is old enough to drink. Sazerac Rye was one of those ones Cody's been talking about. We've been wanting to get on the podcast. I finally had it at the end of the year last year. And wow, that whiskey is, for the price point and everything, phenomenal bottle. I can't wait to review it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then kind of another one that sprung on us. This is my surprise whiskey of the year. Just kind of came out of left field towards the end of last year is Ammunition. We were able to review it at the very end, but that ended up being my go-to bottle. Not surprised, but a go-to bottle. It, it's a 2.3 category, and it just was pretty consistent all the way. I'll go over the stats later on with it, but very good.
That was a great whiskey, man. We enjoyed a lot of it. You were down here, and
yeah, I've been drinking a lot of it since I've been back. I've, shit, that's what I'm drinking tonight.
It's not a crazy expensive bottle. It's what, $30, and you get a great bottle for that price.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so we are going to go ahead and go to the best budget whiskey. You want to take us off from there?
Yeah. So we ended up doing best budget. So we had a bunch of budget whiskeys over the year, and there's one that stood out. It was actually a listener's choice. We did a listener's choice of a whiskey that a listener suggested, and ended up being Elijah or Ezra Brooks, excuse me.
Yeah, Ezra Brooks. You did that every time.
Yeah, and Ezra Brooks, budget bourbon, great bourbon. We enjoyed it. Really surprised. Really, a surprise for us. It was for the price point it's at. It's a solid bourbon, and we really enjoyed that throughout the year. So we enjoyed having a listener's choice be one of our budget picks of the year.
Yeah,
too. That's pretty
definitely.
Cool. Just happened to work out that way.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, because we've actually had a bunch of cheaper bottles on this year. We had a few verses and everything else, and honestly, Ezra Brooks really stuck out to us. All right. I kind of already spoiled this one, so I'm going to go ahead and do it since it was my go-to whiskey, but it was also our surprise whiskey that we picked, Ammunition. Ammunition is a very good bottle, like we were talking about. Overall, we gave it a 4.3, neat 4.3, rocks 4.1, Coke 4.4, Old Fashioned 4.5. It is in our 2.3 category. So it is very good all the way around. The only spot it fell off was on the rocks, but it just started to get a little watered down at the end. But that was pretty much the biggest thing with that one. One thing we do got to mention is Ammunition Rye. So the one we did do is the bourbon right here.
The bourbon.
Great bottle. This has been my go-to. The rye is actually in the same price point and is arguably better. We had it at Cody's bachelor trip. We both got each bottle, and we were like, "Holy crap, the rye is really good." So
Yeah.
And the bourbon's really good. There's a reason why it's my go-to.
We'll have to do the rye here
But
soon.
the rye is definitely one to look out for. I recommend trying them both out and let us know what you think. But Ammunition Straight Bourbon was definitely our surprise whiskey of the year.
Yeah,
And it came
definitely.
on in October there, late September. So it wasn't like it was early on. That whiskey just kind of came out of left field. Like we've seen it, it was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, definitely. It was a surprise, and it was one you talked about, and I've seen it around, but um, it's not that easy for me to get. It's usually down in San Diego, so not
Yeah.
too far, but not that close either. So um, I was able to get some, and you know, uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's
All
a
right.
great one. So we ended up choosing for the neat best of the year was actually Elijah Craig Rye, and that was because it just had a lot of flavors going on. It had some dark chocolate flavors, some really nice, uh, just I don't know, it had some spice and
Spice. Yeah, the
uh,
rice spice with that
the,
chocolate was great.
yeah, it was really good and it was just unique. And it's only
Mm.
25. It's about $25 for that bottle. It's such a
Yeah.
good price point for that kind of whiskey, especially a rye like that. We just really enjoyed it, and it got really high scores overall in general. But neat, it was just really solid, and so it kind of just beat out. We had a lot of whiskeys tie. You know,
Yeah.
throughout the year. Neat, but this one just kind of stood out to us as
Yeah.
just a little superior.
Yeah. And like Cody was saying, we had a lot of whiskeys. Elijah Craig stood out. They all kind of had their things that they stood out on. We had very good whiskeys up in this category, or just period. We gave it a 4.4 in the kneecap area, and we had three other whiskeys up there with it, and all of them are phenomenal in their own right. Just Elijah Craig just had that little extra. As soon as Cody said the chocolate, I was like, "Yep, that's it."
Yeah.
So definitely great whiskeys. Um, so, all right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the rocks. This one was definitely a little bit more difficult. We really only had two, so you would think more of them would be more difficult, but I don't know. The two was kind of tough for me, just because both these were good. Um, the reason why we went with this one over the other one is just primarily the price point, but it's even in the same category. It's not even that big of a price point difference. Um, so we went ahead and went with Yellowstone. That bottle was pretty good. Just the best way to have it was on the rocks. It stood out there. Old Elk
Yeah.
was our second, just really right there, same score. Just we looked at everything,
A little
and
higher price and a little lower proof.
yes, exactly. So that was
So,
kind of our determining factor was the higher price, lower proof with Old Elk, while Yellowstone had the higher proof. So even though if you go back through those two episodes, Old Elk did finish better overall, but just
yeah.
slightly. It wasn't even by a major amount. Yellowstone, we think, deserved the on the rocks. That one held its own. Like it held up very good. That is one whiskey that I do know, you know, just didn't fall apart, didn't get overpowered by the ice and watered down, things like that. It kept that flavor and it kept it probably the longest out of a lot of whiskeys that we've had this year.
Yeah, that was definitely really good on the rocks type whiskey. Held its flavor throughout the whole thing, and had a good punch to it. Some whiskeys lose you know, their flavor or their profile, or they lose a little bit of something, and that one kept the best flavor
Yeah,
throughout, so um, kudos to Yellowstone putting out a
yeah,
good bourbon, and on the rocks, we think it's the better way with it.
definitely is. Uh, Yellowstone, I'm definitely wanting to go back to try. That was a bottle we did. It was early to mid last year, so I would like to redo it and just a lot of these whiskeys that we score really well. It's just unfortunate because we're just trying to do other whiskeys, so we don't get a chance to revisit them that much. Um, so
Yeah.
that one's one I'm gonna want to go back and just kind of refresh my palate on it. Anyway, just I'm wanting a good on the rocks whiskey, so I think I'll probably go buy a bottle.
Yeah, definitely, dude.
So,
It's not too crazy expensive. Like we said, I think it's like, mid 30s.
yeah, it's mid
Um,
30s at $37. So
so not too bad. And getting a solid bourbon for sure.
definitely.
Um,
All right,
so next one we're going to talk about is, I guess I'll talk about it.
Coke. Yeah,
The Coke. So whiskey and Coke. We did a lot of whiskey and Coke this year, and surprisingly, for the price point, Crown Royal, everyone's going to hate us for this. Um, actually scored the best Crown and Coke,
yeah,
or whiskey Coke, bourbon Coke, whatever you want to say. Um, you know, but that's out of what we did of the year. Um, it's always been one of those, to me anyways, great mixers with
oh yeah,
Coke. It just blends really well. Something about it. Um, Other than that, Crown Royal is not anything special, but for
no,
whatever reason, it just blends so well with the Coke that
no,
it got a really good high score on that. But again,
yeah, we
it's in that $20, low end, you know, price range. So, you know, uh,
yeah we gave it a 4.5, so it is a very good whiskey. It is up there with our Four Roses, Legion, and Coke. Are I will say arguably it is those two are still better, but
oh
Crown
yeah,
this past
100%.
year uh, was the best. With two honorable mentions just right behind it at a 4.4 was Ammunition and Horse Soldier, which yes, they're all three very different whiskeys. Ammunition and Horse Soldier are bourbons, different price points and everything
Yeah,
else. But just with the overall, we were just looking at the scores. This one did beat them out, and if you're looking for a good whiskey to just mix with Coke, Crown, you're not going to go wrong with. It is a great whiskey and Coke. We talked about it on the episode. It's like when they made Crown, they had Coke right
Coke
there.
in
And it was
mind.
like, is this? Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
they were competing against Jack. I feel like for
Yes.
because
Yes.
when you go to out to drink or get drinks and you're a Jack and Coke guy or whiskey and Coke, it's probably you're going to go Jack and Coke. That's been the go-to for a long time. But I feel like Crown was like, you know what, we want to beat Jack here. And I haven't had Jack and Coke in a while, but I would say Crown has done a damn good job. I would like to see where Jack holds up because the Jack Daniels bonded that we did at the end of the year, the best way was with Coke. Every other way, I'm sorry for the people out there who gave it better scores and said it was a phenomenal whiskey. It just wasn't.
It
It was
wasn't.
a
It
good
wasn't.
whiskey,
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't.
but
It
it
wasn't.
wasn't the hype.
No.
The hype was just way too high for that. I wish people would, check it out with Coke. It is like Jack Daniels bonded was good with Coke, just like Jack Daniels is, I imagine. But anyways, this is about Crown. Crown won our overall for Coke. So 4.5. Good job, Crown Royal.
Yeah. Um, you know, So we've
Yeah.
known for a long time that it's a good one with Coke, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
go. But so you're gonna tell us who was the best old fashioned, Robbie?
Yeah, old fashioned. So this one was kind of a no brainer. We knew it before we even had to look at the scores. We already knew. But it was interesting to go back through the scores. Um, Before I tell you which one it is, because we did do it early last year, so it's been about a year since we've done this whiskey. Um, the two honorable ammunition 4.5 old fashioned, great old fashioned. So this again, we're bringing up old ammunition is a good solid whiskey. Horse Soldier 4.6, a phenomenal old fashioned.
May
Arguably could
arguably
be up
is
there.
at the top.
Yeah, but we even did our whiskey review or our old fashioned off last
Yes.
year, and this whiskey came out on top. Russell 10-year.
Yeah. Russell
And
tenure.
don't we may talk about it with the old fashioned, but that bottle, that Russell 10-year, let me tell you guys the scores on this one that we gave it. So we gave it a 4.4 neat. Freaking phenomenal. So it's even up there with some of the other ones we were
Yeah.
discussing.
Super good.
4.2 on the rocks, held up very well. 4.3 Coke, and then it just blew the doors off. 4.7 old fashioned. We may talk about this as a cocktail whiskey because it's the best way. But if you go buy Russell 10-year, you're not doing it like whatever way you're going to drink it. It's going to be a great whiskey, and
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it in every way. But if you're looking to make some old fashions that night for friends, I will recommend Russell's 10-year every time. And
Yeah,
that's over
definitely.
Legion and American Prairie, or now High West Bourbon instead of High West American Prairie. So,
Yeah, dude. I mean, just solid whiskey, and
oh yeah,
all in the same price point of the as those whiskeys you just mentioned. So
yeah,
it's like can't go wrong with it. Great whiskey, obviously made by Wild Turkey. Um,
yeah,
Great products they produce
definitely.
over there. So, uh, you know,
Gosh,
shit.
talking about that, that's another one I wish I would have bought more of. We were so worried about the other whiskeys. So, anyways, all right. So we got the overall and best looking bottle, best bottle. So I'll let you take lead off with that.
Yeah. So best overall whiskey of the year. We kind of nailed it down to Horse Soldier. We it was a close race between a few different whiskeys, but Horse
Definitely.
Soldier, came out on top on that, and overall just smidged it out. Um,
Yeah.
so you know,
Um, we gave it a 4.4. And this is, so you guys know, Horse Soldier Premium. Um,
yeah,
it is in our 4.2 category, so it is up in the higher range. But the whiskey that did come right neck to neck was Russell 10-year at that 4.4. So it was a very close race, but overall, just with the consistency, Horse Soldier edged it out. We were splitting hairs with this one, I believe.
yeah,
We really were. Both these whiskeys are phenomenal, but Horse Soldier overall whiskey for 2022. So, and
yeah.
go ahead.
So yeah, overall, and that was a great episode. We had Ben on,
Yeah,
um, you know,
Ben, that was a
our
guest
cousin,
episode.
uh, veteran. Ben's a veteran. It's a veteran-owned company. Just so many cool things about Horse Soldier. Um, just as a company, and you know,
Yeah.
uh, just a great bourbon. It's
Oh,
it's their it's their it's their basic. Their kind of they're starting out one. They have 3 different ones. Actually, they have 4, but it's their
Yeah.
lowest price one. It's still kind of high. Not gonna lie, it's still like, for us blue collar guys, and gals, it's close to $50 around there, maybe more depending on
Yeah,
what
no,
state.
$51 is what we kind of, so it's about 50
Yeah,
bucks.
what state you're in. So
Yeah. Um, and funny enough, this kind of actually leads into the best bottle. We had a couple different bottles, or a few different bottles really last year. I think this has been our best year as far as best looking bottles. Last year we had American Barrel win it
mhm.
overall. That one was a phenomenal bottle, but the one that won it this year is Horse Soldier.
It is
Um,
overflow.
the
Yep.
the metal front to it, and if you just even look at all their whiskeys, they have this look. They different colors as far as one's more gold, silver, things like that. This one was the more copper looking. Um, Also on top, the coin that's inside the cork. It is a phenomenal looking bottle.
Yeah.
Um,
Through and through.
Honorable mention, we definitely had ammunition up there just with this wood and everything, but we definitely Horse Soldier, hands down. Even beats that. Even beats out some of these other whiskeys that we reviewed this year, just with cool labels or just a cool looking bottle. So I'm going to kind of touch on Horse Soldier. We already did with the 4.2, overall 4.4, and Neat we gave it a 4.4. So it's up there with some
Yeah.
of the best whiskeys. Neat on the rocks 4.1. Coke 4.4. So it came back and a 4.6 old fashioned. It just had
That's
the
great.
consistency. It was a solid bottle. Thank you, Ben, for turning us onto this bottle. And I can't wait to do the other ones. I know they're more expensive, but you know, with what they produced for their basic, I do have high hopes and high, you know,
Yeah.
expectations, just period, for the other whiskeys they have. So
Agreed. Um, but yeah, I mean, dude, yeah. Thanks, Ben, and we really enjoyed that whiskey throughout the year. My bottle's almost completely gone. I actually shared
dude,
it with people at my wedding, at the
yeah,
wedding, when we
you better
were
tell me about it, man.
up up at the bar. We were like, oh, and I passed that around to a couple of people,
Yeah,
as my favorite whiskey. So, um, well, everybody, you know, cheers to 2023, and
yeah.
we'll be
Hell, cheers to 2022. It was a great year. We had a lot of whiskeys. We
yeah.
we reviewed a shitload. I feel like it was kind of difficult. We were going back through all the scores. I was like, holy crap, that was last year. It felt like 2021 when we reviewed
About
some of these.
25, about 25 or
Um,
more. Yeah.
so it was a good year. A lot of good whiskeys. I'm looking forward to 2023. I know it's February now. Um, we got St. Pete out there already kicking off the new year. Very solid bottle. Definitely go check out those 2 episodes. It is our 50th and 51st episode.
Yeah.
50th, Cody and I did together while we were out there for the wedding. And it was great. I'm glad we did that bottle. It is a harder bottle to get. So if you're ever down in Florida, I recommend grabbing it
Yeah,
and
definitely.
sending it back with you. Um, but yeah, let us know what you think on any of these bottles. If you disagree with us, let us know. If you uh, liked any of these bottles or haven't had any of these, definitely go grab yourself some. Let us know. This has been that last year was a fun year. I'm looking again forward to 2023. We have a lot of whiskeys in the pipeline. Like we want to do. We talked about it earlier. Old Forester. We just were talking about Ammunition Rye. We're talking about Sazerac Rye. Um,
Yeah, there's a
like
ton, man.
there's a ton. We're not going to
But
let out here.
we
So.
definitely want to do more, listener choice this
Mhm.
year, and we'll put up some polls. We did one last year, which was
It was very
Brothers
successful.
Bond episode, actually. and we want to do more of that. And we're going to definitely have some more guests on and everything this year. So,
Yeah.
cheers, everybody, and
Hey,
good vibes.
cheers.
Catch you
here's to
all.
2023.
Yep. Catch you in the next episode, everybody. See ya.